Welcome to College Smart Radio, helping you understand the true cost of college and tackle the runaway costs of financing a college education. College Smart Radio is hosted by Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz, founders of Westface College Planning. Now, your hosts for College Smart Radio, Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz.
College is the first major educational choice that most students make for themselves. When preparing and applying, it's imperative to choose colleges that will fit you and allow you to prosper. From special talents to high school curriculum, colleges take many aspects into consideration during the application process. Our guest on today's College Smart Radio program is Lisa Bleich, the owner of the company College Bound Mentor. She's joining us today to share insights from her experience as a mentor of students on the college selection and application process. Hi, I'm Beatrice Schultz. I'm here in the studio with my co-host, husband and partner, Mark Guthrie. Welcome to our weekly show, College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of college. Our show is about bringing up-to-date and practical advice to parents and students who are dealing with the cost of a college education. With some private schools costing well over $60,000 a year, a UC costing $35,000, and a California State University running $25,000, parents need more help than ever. We bring you that help by sharing ways to pay less, tapping into financial aid, prioritizing your source of funds, and bringing on guests that help you understand all the choices that come into paying the right amount for a college education. Based on our education and experience, we share our insights with you week in and week out. Mark and I are the owners of the San Carlos-based college financial planning business, Westface College Planning, and we're also the owners of Westface Financial Advisory, a registered investment advisory firm. We host workshops and webinars on college financial planning and retirement financial planning and consult with parents on a daily basis. And in addition to our insights, we bring in experts in many areas of the college process. We also have some powerful information on our website, collegesmartradio.com, many articles with up-to-date information on navigating the college process, and we also have a monthly e-newsletter full of content about college planning. And on our website, we also have a link to our free community parent workshops and webinars that we host to teach parents about how to pay for college and how the financial aid system really works. So let's get into today's show. On today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about the college application process, and our guest joining us today is Lisa Bleich. She's an independent education consultant, entrepreneur, marketing consultant, and recruiter. And she mentors students on the college application process to help them uncover their strengths and weaknesses and develop a personal plan for success. Ms. Bleich spent 2 years as a visiting assistant professor at Whittier College, teaching courses in marketing, management, and organizational behavior and small business management. And she also directed the college's business internship program. And she combines her passion for teacher and mentoring and her marketing experience to found the business College Bound Mentor. She's had her company for 10 years to help students understand their needs and market themselves effectively to college. Lisa also serves on the Alumni Council for Brandeis University, and she interviews prospective freshmen for a fit with the university. She holds a BA in European Cultural Studies and French from Brandeis University and an MBA from Harvard Business School. And she's also a professional member of the Independent Education Consultants Association and a member of the New Jersey Association for College Admission Counselors. Lisa's joining us via phone from New Jersey. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to College Smart Radio.
Hi, Beatrice. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks so much. And I've also got Mark here in the studio with me. I've been talking the whole time. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Lisa, let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about the practice that you have. We're always interested in talking to practitioners who deal with parents season in, season out. And just share a little bit about how you got into this business and kind of the nature of your advisory firm.
Sure. So I started this business 10 years ago, as Beatrice said. Directly prior to this, I was living out in Los Angeles, and I was teaching full-time at Whittier College, and I was very attuned to the college environment, working with students, helping them plan their classes and helping them get into graduate school and find internships. And so when I moved to New Jersey, I found that a lot of families were really concerned about the college application process and were very stressed out about it. And with my background in marketing and mentoring and teaching, I thought it would be a great way to kind of pull together a lot of the skills that I had developed. I also worked in recruiting for a while. So I started this firm in 2004. My kids were really young, so I wasn't even really thinking about college for them. But I wanted to find a way to help families manage this process in a more strategic way.
Sure. So you brought some of that formal education you received through your undergraduate and graduate degrees and your work experience, and kind of apply that to the parents and helping kids. So just at a high level, walk through a little bit just the process that you recommend parents go through. When should they get started thinking about this? Because I know a lot has to do with the curriculum that kids end up taking in high school, what athletic programs they get involved in. I mean, kind of when's the right age to start thinking about this, or what age for the kids to start thinking about it? And just at a high level, just walk through your process that you think makes a lot of sense for parents to follow.
Sure. So I think that the process definitely has steps to it. So I think that freshman and sophomore year are really about high school and planning high school and making sure that your child is really fulfilling reaching his or her full potential in terms of academics and also in terms of activities and interests, and really trying to help them, guide them to the things that they're really interested in and that they can be successful in. It's really important to try to develop leadership, intellectual curiosity, if there's a special talent involved, or athletics. All of those things are important to kind of really think through how that's going to play out throughout the high school process. Junior and senior year is when you're going to really start thinking much more about college. Most ninth graders and 10th graders aren't necessarily in a mindset to be thinking about college. Obviously, the parents are, but the kids are usually a little bit like, hey, I just started high school. Let me kind of enjoy where I am here. But junior and senior year, that's when junior year you want to really focus on identifying a list of schools that make sense based on the students' interests, based on their academic success to date, projected test scores, where they want to be, what they want to study, all that sort of stuff, and visiting schools and really trying to understand that. And then starting, if they can, before this summer, before junior and senior year, is to start working on their application, identifying what they want to write their essays about, understanding the list and where they're going to be applying so that they know if there's any additional essays that they need to write, so that they can kind of create an overarching plan so they can think through how best to present themselves to colleges.
So, Lisa, when let's talk a little bit about what angle do you think about, or how do you guide your students to try to give them a little bit of advantage going in? And I took a look at your book, your recent book that you've published. What's the definition? What do you mean by an angular student? Maybe you can introduce that for our audience.
Yeah, so I've sort of coined this term angular student, which is somebody who's really gone deep in one or two activities or areas rather than just sort of being well-rounded, which is what, when we were applying to college, that was kind of the buzzword. Everybody wants to be well-rounded. And now it's really more to sort of develop these sort of deep interests and passions, and that's where you kind of find your angle. And that could be really across a lot of different ways. I mean, if somebody is an athlete and a really strong athlete and they might be recruited for a specific college, whether it be Division I or Division III or Division II, then that could be their angle, that they're a really strong athlete, but they're also really strong in math and science, so that could be a way to have their angle. Another way to think about it is, what are the things that a student does naturally? What are the things that they're really strong in? So that could be a special talent. Maybe somebody's a really strong artist or a really strong performing artist or a musician. So that could be another way to kind of identify an angle. If somebody has overcome a lot of adversity and has had to show a lot of grit or a lot of perseverance in trying to, just really live their lives for whatever happens to them. Sometimes kids have a lot of struggles that they have to overcome. That's sort of a strength of character. So that could be their angle. So it's really to identify what it is that makes a student unique and interesting and able to contribute to a particular college community.
Sure, because I guess in the past, parents have said, well, if my child wants to get into a great school, they've got to be an athlete, they have to be a A+ student, they've got to be in the choir, they've got to be in the band, they have to do all these things. And right. I guess what you're saying is, hey, it's pretty tough to raise kids to be fantastic and interested in everything. So exactly. Kind of let the kids be kids and don't necessarily feel like because they haven't spent some time in one particular area that's a problem. And are you finding on the college acceptance side that is a theme that you're hearing from college acceptances about, hey, that's okay. We like kids who are very deep in one or two areas because it shows a lot of passion, and that's probably going to be the area they're going to pursue in their careers?
Definitely, yeah. I was just actually at a conference a professional conference, and we had the opportunity to hear Peter Johnson, who's director of admissions for Columbia, speaking, and he said that we're seeing a lot more what he calls them niche applicants, and I call them angular applicants. So these are students who have really gone very deep in a particular area and have really shown that level of interest and that level of intellectual curiosity in a much deeper way. But it also really depends on the school, the types of schools that a student is applying to, because certainly for some of the larger state schools, which most kids, get educated at, or at schools where they're not quite as select, it's not as important to do that. But for the most select or sort of elite admissions, it is really important that you kind of find that very distinct angle and niche for you to kind of stand out from the rest of the crowd, because there's so many high schools in the country. There's so many valedictorians. There's so many captains of X number of teams. So if you could really understand where you're special or unique, it makes it a lot easier for you, because as you said, you don't have to try to be a jack of all trades, because you could really focus in on that area that naturally comes to you.
So I imagine you have parents and students that come in your door and they're like, I'm just not sure if I'm really special, or I'm not sure what that angle is for me. How does a person discover that?
Well, one of the things that I try to do in the book, and what I do when I meet with clients, is I just try to really get to understand them and ask them a lot of questions about kind of what drives them and what makes them tick. Because I think that everybody has something that's unique to them. So it could be something that people take for granted because it's something that comes so naturally to them. So, for example, I've worked with students who are just really compassionate young people, and they spend a lot of time really trying to help other people. It could be through their church or through their synagogue, or they could be the person that their friends are always going to when they have problems. That would be the person that they would typically go to. So it could be something that you're a really good listener and you're really compassionate with other people. You may not think that that's anything unique, but I always like to tell them, well, you could be a really great resident advisor, if you have those skills. And so if you could somehow find that thread that kind of weaves throughout your life and demonstrate that, then that would show that you have something that's really unique and that could add value to the community.
If you've just joined us, our guest on today's College Smart Radio program is Lisa Bleich, the owner of College Bound Mentor. We'll be right back on College Smart Radio.
College Smart Radio with Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz continues in moments on AM 1220 KDOW. For more information on today's topic, visit collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. Contact our hosts at collegesmartradio.com or call 650-587-1559. Now back to College Smart Radio with Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of college. I'm Beatrice Schultz. I'm here with my co-host, Mark Guthrie. We all know that college is expensive and will most likely be some of the most costly years for a family. Understanding how to navigate the college and all those choices is a smart thing to know. To help parents be on this radio show, we host community workshops live and via webinar several times a month that explain the costs of various colleges, how the college system works, and things to consider to prepare yourself for this tremendous expense. To learn more and reserve your seat, go to my website at collegesmartradio.com. If you just joined us, we've been talking with our guest, Lisa Bleich, who is the owner of College Bound Mentor and also the author of a recently released new book, Surviving the College Application Process. Lisa, a link to that website, her website, and also the book will be available on our College Smart Radio website. Lisa, when we left you right before the break, we were talking about the college application process, but in your book and in your process, you talk about something called the college application wheel, and I thought maybe you could share how that works with our listeners.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. So I developed the college application wheel to try to get students and families to think about how they would contribute to a college community in a more strategic way. And so when colleges, we had talked about how when colleges are really trying to create a community of learners, they're trying to create a class of interesting sort of angular or niche students that can fill many different roles in their university or their college. And so the 8 pieces of the college application wheel are your academics and test scores, and that's really sort of the cost of doing business. You have to sort of be within the range of most of the accepted students academics and test scores to be sort of in the running. Extracurricular activities, so these are anything that you do outside of school. And then what's important is kind of how deep you go in these different activities and whether or not you take on a leadership position, which is also another piece of the pie. Intellectual curiosity is a very important element to try to get at how a student is going to contribute in the academics and sort of the intellectual community. The athletics is another piece. So for students who could be a recruited athlete or even just students that are going to play in intramural or club sports. Special talents, so that would be something like a musician or a artist or a actor or even someone who's really strong in foreign language. That could be another special talent. Financial is whether or not you're going to need financial aid or if you could be a full-pay student. And then the other is sort of a catch-all. So those would be students that are underrepresented minorities, students that are first generation, students who have some sort of strength of character. Sometimes that could be a geographic other if they're going to a place that's not usually within a 2 to 3 hour drive, but somewhere where they're geographically underrepresented. And also if you're a legacy to a school, so a school where one of your parents went to school, that can definitely count in terms of how you're going to contribute to the school. And I think that what I like to do with students is to try to get them to think about the 2 or 3 areas where they can really sort of stand out and what are going to be their big pieces of the pie. And once they can sort of identify that and then match that with the interests of the school and the fit in the community with the school, that's where they can start to find that match and they can have a better chance of getting in and also perhaps getting some merit money if they're not eligible for financial aid.
Sure. And Lisa, just one area on the wheel that I'm interested in is I think athletics and financial and test scores, those are pretty self-explanatory, but talk a little bit more in depth about how parents and a student would show intellectual curiosity. How do we kind of quantify that or show that?
So intellectual curiosity is, you definitely picked up on the one that's the most challenging to show. So a couple of ways that students can do that is through doing academically related clubs. So it could be a robotics club, it could be Model UN, could be something like the Euro Challenge or the Fed Challenge. Those are all clubs that are kind of focused in a more academic way. Another great way to do that is during the summers between junior and senior year and sophomore and junior year. Those are great opportunities to explore an intellectual interest in a much deeper way. So it could be doing, if you're interested in science, if you could try to do some of the pre-college programs have the ability to do science research. Sometimes if you're interested in language, you can do an immersion program. The other thing that you can do is just read. I mean, that's the best way to show intellectual curiosity is just to be an avid reader or listening to iPod, podcasts, watching videos of interest. There's so much online, taking some of the MOOC classes, which are the massive online courses. Anything that kind of gives you the opportunity to demonstrate that you're going above and beyond what's expected in the school, but you're actually just interested in something independently just because it's something that interests you and that you pursue it.
So how do you demonstrate that intellectual curiosity if it's going to be, for example, your example, which is your reading? Do you talk about your favorite books or your favorite authors?
Absolutely. You can do that. I mean, so one of the ways, so depending on the school, I've been noticing lately that a lot more schools are actually asking what schools have you read for school and what schools have you read for pleasure? And then can you describe what impacted you on that book? So Columbia asks that question. Carnegie Mellon asks that question. University of Virginia has that as a question. Stanford asks a question about sort of just to get at your intellectual vitality. And so if you had a book that you read that was really of interest or an author, you could sort of talk about that and how that kind of led you in a particular direction. So you could absolutely demonstrate that. I've even had some kids in additional information, if they're avid readers, to kind of list the books that they've read or just to list reading as an activity and the genres that they like and the authors that they like, because it just, again, shows that there's something beyond what's expected of them.
Sure. And one other area, which is leadership. There's some obvious areas of leadership, obviously, if kids are leading particular clubs or things like that. But if you've got a more informal leadership quality about a student, what are some tangible ways you've seen that come across in the application process?
Well, again, I've seen that come across typically it could be in the main essay if they're going to show or describe a story where they were a leader. And as you said, there's sort of the obvious ways, but leadership takes many forms. And it could be that you're a leader in your family, like maybe something happened in your family and somebody got sick and you had to step up and you had to sort of take on much more responsibility in the family. Or it could be I had a student who had helped a girl who was having some issues. She was a foreign exchange student, and this other student had spent the year in Italy, and she sort of understood why this girl was feeling so uncomfortable being in the United States, and so she took it upon herself to reach out to her and make sure that she was included and make sure that she was comfortable and acclimating well into the United States. So there's lots of different ways that you can demonstrate leader, and there's also something that sometimes colleges even call leadership without a title. So that's where you're just sort of stepping up and saying, yes, I'm going to do something, and even if you don't have the title of president or the title of officer, but it's just the actions that you take.
Okay, that makes sense. And how visible is it to parents what schools are looking for? You talk about the different applications, but obviously are applications available for parents to look at on the school's websites? Or,
sure.
How do parents kind of shop for a match between a student's particular interest and areas of kind of specialty and matching those up with all the universities that are possibilities for a child to go to?
Well, visiting is a great way to kind of get a sense of what the school is looking for and just sort of the vibe of the school. But if you're going to do it just strictly from not leaving your home and kind of looking at it from the applications, the supplemental questions, so the Common Application has over 500 members that are applying that are participating in that. And then each school has the main essay that is required, and then they all can have the option to have supplemental essays. So a supplemental essay will really give you an indication of what it is that the school values. So a school like Claremont McKenna, which is out in California, they really value leadership. So one of the questions that they ask students is, what leader would you want, or what speaker would you want to come to our series of speakers on leadership, and why? So right there, that gives a really good indication of what it is that they're looking for. I think that you can get those questions from the websites directly of the schools. They're going to be available on the Common Application as of August 1st.
Okay.
There's also a couple of online tools. There's something called College Essay Organizer, which will provide you a list of the questions before, and there's also an app that is called, I believe it's called All College Essays or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember it off the top of my head. But there are definite ways that you can get that information in advance.
All right. Well, Lisa, hey, we're just about to wrap up, so I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on the show. I know our parents are going to appreciate it, and it's great having you here from California, because as you know, that's our audience, so it's nice of you to speak to some of the California schools. And we really appreciate you participating in the show.
Great, wonderful. And I actually am going to be out in Los Angeles in April, on April 12th and 13th, and I'll be doing a book signing in Santa Monica at the Barnes & Noble. So
awesome.
If anyone's out there, I'd love to see you there. All
right. Well, thanks again, Lisa Bleich from College Bound Mentor and author of the book Surviving the College Application Process. You can learn more about that at collegeboundmentor.com. Well, that wraps up another weekly show of College Smart Radio. We hope you picked up some information today that helps you figure out ways to manage the runaway cost of college. You can hear us each week here on KDOW 1220 AM, Saturdays at 3 o'clock. For a link to this broadcast, you can go to our website, which is www.collegesmartradio.com. Make sure also for future shows that you print out and bring in on your tablet our glossary of college planning terms for reference during our future shows. It's a world of acronyms, and college is no different. Also, plan on joining us at one of our upcoming Westface College planning workshops and webinars. This is Mark Guthrie saying goodbye for myself and Beatrice Schultz. Thanks again for tuning into College Smart Radio, and we look forward to sharing more helpful information next week.
You've been listening to College Smart Radio with Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz. If you have questions on today's topic, log on to collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. That's 650-587-1559. And join us next week at this time for another edition of College Smart Radio on AM 1220 KDOW.
Information presented during today's show is not to be construed as advice meeting the particular needs of any investor. All mention of performance is based on historical experience and should not be assumed that past performance is any indication of future results. Tax Center legal advice is not offered by Mark Guthrie or Beatrice Schultz. Please consult your tax professional for additional guidance regarding tax-related matters. Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz are owners and investor advisor representatives of Westface Financial Advisory. College planning services offered through Westface College Planning. Insurance services offered through Westface Financial and Insurance Services. License number OF 35251. Financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Westface Financial Advisory.